All right. Good evening once again. Good evening, everybody. Good evening once again. Good evening once again. Good evening, Olivia, Kuzan, Madam Phoebe, Madam Precious. Good evening, everybody. Good evening once again.
Good evening, sir.
All right. Okay, Madam Precious. Good evening. Welcome. All right. Now, yesterday, it's already 6:10, so we can go ahead. Yesterday, we talked about the introductory aspect of early childhood education. Now, being that if you look at the group, you see that Precious was there, but she did not contribute in any way, maybe due to the fact that our mic was not working. Madam Kuzan was unable to join us yesterday. Madam Phoebe too, but Madam Olivia was actively involved. So, Madam Olivia, can you summarize everything we did yesterday, at least for the benefit of the class? Hello, Madam Olivia.
Hello.
Yes, okay, Madam Olivia, can you summarize at least something that you took home yesterday? Can you share with
Wow.
us before we go into what we
Oh,
did today?
I didn't see this coming.
The class is that's the good thing about MJB. What we do here, our class is an open, everybody has open mind, so we participate to gain knowledge. So can you give us whatever you took yesterday from yesterday's class? Can you share with us anything?
Okay. Okay. So basically, yesterday we actually covered a lot. We spoke about what early childhood development is, or what early childhood education is, rather. And my take about that, summarizing everything you said, it's about development in the four areas aspect of the child. That is physical, social emotional, language of the child. And then we spoke about importance of early childhood education or educators. The importance of early childhood education. And then we spoke about it helps the child to develop strong language and that of literacy. It also helps the child to develop social skills and many others. We also looked at qualities of early childhood educator. And then we mentioned a whole lot of them. Few among them, we spoke about passion. The educator should have passion for the job or for the children. They should be patient and understanding, strong communication skills, and a lot of them. We also spoke about four main developmental domains of the child. And I think earlier on I mentioned that as the definition. We spoke about the social, the cognitive, emotional, and physical, and which you gave elaborative explanation about all these areas. And then we move to theories and approaches to early childhood education, which we mentioned actually five of them, but we spoke about four of them yesterday.
All right. Thank you so
Yeah.
much, Madam Olivia. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. That tells me that you were here and you were here. That is, you were part and parcel of yesterday's class. You know, some people they just come, they sit down and hear all the blah 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 blah, and after that they exit the meeting. But I'm happy to hear that at least you took something home. Thank you so much. All right. That being said, we want to delve into what we have today. I said actually, all the models are 11 models, but we are not in a hurry. I would have compressed everything, as I said yesterday. I would have compressed everything such that it would be just 4 days. But no, I don't want us to be in a hurry because it has to do with children. For some of us, not just the educators, for some of us, parents and the parents to be, planning to be later. We should have knowledge and idea about how to handle them. So we are not in a hurry. We'll take one after the other. Wherever we stop that day, we continue the next. All right. Today we want model 2, as we can see. Can everybody see my screen? Can everybody see my screen, please?
Yes, I can see from my end.
Okay, Madam Kuzan, can you see my screen? Madam
Yes.
Precious, can you? Okay. Madam Phoebe, can you see my screen? Okay, all right, let's go on. Let's go on. Now, today we want to look at child module 2, child development and learning. Child development and learning. Please, I will ask that if you have a piece of paper, okay, Madam Phoebe, please, a colleague can apply today. Madam Phoebe, it's she cannot. Madam Phoebe, all right, I'll address that. Engineer Wisdom, please, there is a message from Madam Phoebe. Is there, please, can you attend to that? All right, back to what we were on. Today we want to look at module 2. This particular module is very, very important. Very, very important because it has to do with the development of the child. Development process right from childhood down to adulthood and even in the older part of the person's life. Because when we say child, everybody feels that it's the normal 0 from birth to 10, 15 and all that. No, it ranges because it is childhood that gives birth to adulthood. So there is a connection, there is a chain, there is a connection, there is a chain that leads to there's a chain and there's a connection that leads to the adulthood, from the childhood to the adulthood. So this stage is very, very important. Like yesterday, while we are looking at the introduction of the course, we talked about 5 of them. We talked about 5 of them, but we looked at 4. So today we are going to focus on them. Please pay attention. If you have a biro, you have pen, because it's not everything. This slide was sent to us directly from BCC UK, but there are some things that are modifying. So it might not be here in the slides when we send them to you, but if you have pen, paper, book or something, you can jot down some key points that I will say. All right, now let's go ahead. Let's go ahead. All right, now module 2, child development and learning. The first one is Piaget's theory of cognitive development. Actually, her name is Janet Piaget. She brought about the theory of cognitive development. And what is she talking about? All she focuses on is individual discovery. When I say individual discovery, please, are we together? Are we together? Are we together? Are we together? Yes. Madam Olivia, yes. Are you hearing me?
Yes, please, okay. I can hear you.
Madam Kuzan, are you hearing me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, Madam Precious, Madam Phoebe, are we together? Okay, yes. All right, okay, thank you. Let's continue. All right, back to what I was saying. Okay, now the theory of, her name is Janet Piaget, and she was the one that brought about the theory of the cognitive development. When we talk about cognitive development, what are we talking about? We are talking about the way the child reasons, the way the child thinks, the way, please, there is someone's mic that is on, please mute it, Madam Phoebe. Madam Olivia, please mute your mics.
I told you that day.
Madam Phoebe, please. Engineer Wisdom, please help me mute her mic. Mute her mic because we don't want interference. Okay, thank you. All right. Back to what I was telling you. In this particular aspect, she brought about the theory of cognitive development. When we talk about cognitive, the child has a strong level of intelligence, the way the child reasons, the way the child solves issues. All those things are embedded in the cognitive development. Now, we are going to look at it one after the other. We are going to start with Jane Piaget. We go over to Vygotsky, we go over to Erikson, and we look at Brian Brenner's bioecological model of development. Now, I said in the beginning of the class today that Jane Piaget focuses on individual discovery. That is talking about the child independently. The child discovers independently without assistance. Either he learns from either he or she learns from the environment or from people, but however, the discovery is done by the child alone. Now, under the Jane Piaget's theory of cognitive development, they are divided into 4 development stages, 4 stages. They are divided into 4 stages. The first one is the sensorimotor development stage. The second one is the pre-operational development stage. The third one is the concrete operational stage. Then the last but not the least is the formal operational stage. We are going to take them one after the other before we move to the next one, which is Vygotsky. Now, for the sensorimotor development, this stage refers to the process by which a child learns to interact with their environment using their signs, what they can see, sound, what they can hear, touch, what they can feel, taste, and smell. This is the stage in their life where they learn from how they interact with their environment. They see something, they learn from what they see. They hear, they learn from what they hear through sound. They touch, they learn from what they touch. They test, they learn from what they tested, and they smell also. Now, this period, this sensorimotor period, is from birth to 2 years. That is from 0 to 24 months, because a year, 24 months makes up a year, and 12 months makes up a year, then 24 months makes up 2 years. So this is the stage that happens in their life from birth to 2 years. What are the things to expect during this time? From birth to 4 months, that is from 0 to 4 months, they start exhibiting reflexes. They start exhibiting reflexes. They grab things. Of course, you know, they must suck in, and they start tracking objects. This is what they do within this time. Within within birth to 4 months, they start by grabbing, how to hold things, grab. Then they suck in. Then after that, they track objects. Any object that moves, they look at it. Their attention is divided. They look at any object as a whole. Then from 4 to 12 months, that is from 4 months to 12 months, that is from 4 months to a year, what do? They start reaching out. They start reaching out. They start crawling. They start crawling. They move by crawling. They move from one place to another. And also object performance. Then from 12 to 24 months, that is from a year to 2 years, what do? They start walking. They start solving problems. They start imitation. At times, for some of us we the parents, you see our children, they tend to imitate us. When they start doing that, you see it is within that stage of sensorimotor development. Why we walk this way, they try to walk the same way we are walking. We do this, they try to do it. Even in school, they mimic their teachers at times. That is the stage. They walk, they solve issues, they imitate, and they start trying to gather words together so that they can, the early language, so that they can form words, sentences, statements, and it goes on like that. Now, in summary for the sensorimotor development stage, it lays the foundation for learning, coordination, and understanding the world. That's the summary. That is what this sensorimotor development stage does. It lays the foundation for learning, coordination, and understanding the world. That is why at the time where they come, they start learning from what they see: sight, sound, touch, taste, and smell. That is the foundation for learning, coordination, and understanding the world. That is the stage 1. Now let's go to stage 2. Let's go to stage 2. And what is stage 2? Stage 2 is all about the pre-operational development stage. The pre-operational development stage. And this stage is within 2 to 7 years. Remember the first one, which was the sensorimotor development stage, was between the birth, which is 0 to 2 years. Now this one ranges from 2 years to 7 years. And what happens during this time? During this stage, children develop symbolic thinking. When I say symbolic thinking, I'm talking about they use words, images, and objects to represent things. During this stage, children develop symbolic thinking, use language more effectively, and engage in pretend play. But their thinking is still egocentric and intuitive rather than logical. Now, at this stage, the pre-operational stage, what do? They use symbolic, that is images. They use words, objects, diagrams to represent things. They use language more effectively. They try to gather things, gather words, and use it effectively. They engage in some kind of, their play that they they pretend. They pretend to be this while they are not, just because they are playing. They are learning from it. The way they think is egocentric. What do I mean? Whatever they place their thought first. Whatever you think of them does not concern them. It is what they want to do. That is what they do. Let's put it this way. At that point, they are selfish. Let me put it that way. They are selfish. They consider themselves first before any other person. And intuitive rather than logical. That is, they think they think out of what they see, out of what they hear, out of what they can touch, out of the environment, rather than thinking logically. What are the features under this? What are the features under this? Number 1, egocentrism. Number 1, this one is very, very important for teachers, for caregivers, for minders, for providers, for parents. Very, very important. Egocentrism. Now, this is a point in their life where it is difficult for them to see things from the perspective of others. I said it before. At this stage, it is very difficult. This is the stage where you say they are stubborn. Daniel is stubborn. Daniel, come here. Daniel said, no, I don't want to come. I'm playing ball. It's time for you to sleep. No, I want to watch the television. This is the stage. 2 to 7 years within that time. This particular stage, they feel that they are the adult while you are the child, because they feel that everything they do is right. They don't care about what you think about them. That is why we have to be careful as providers, as teachers, as parents, because if you look at the qualities that we talked about yesterday, number 1 says you should be paid. The second quality was that you should be patient. You have the spirit of patience and understanding. This is where you have to understand with them. This is the stage where you have to endure. You have to be patient. You have to exhibit that virtue, patience with them. Because if you are not careful, you can even kill them out of anger. Because by the time you tell the child, do this, and the child feels that what he or she wants to do is the best, that is disobedience. And you want to take it out on them. Even though the Bible says, spare the rod and spoil the child. This is the point where you have to apply wisdom. This is the point where you have to be very, very careful. Either you either you tune them to the right way or you tune them to the wrong way. There's a neighbor that is, let me give you an instance, a neighbor that lives close to me. Every time the child is 4 years old, I think 4 years, it should be 5 years now. And every time this child is being beaten. And you know what the parents, they used to beat up this child, the father and the mother, the same thing. They use rod, iron. They are tired of using their hands. They are tired of using belt. They are tired of using whip, cane. Instead, what do they do now? They use rod to, correct it. They say they are correcting the child. But whenever the father or the mother does that and they leave, the next thing, the child will just wipe the tears out of the eyes. And after that, he goes on and do the same thing again. You see, The child will say, after all, they are coming to flog me, and that's all. But we forget that at this particular stage, this is the stage where they become, they become a rebel. Let me put it that way. They rebel against you because anything you say, they are not interested. They believe that what they want to do is the best. So this is the time where you apply wisdom. Instead of that, you play into their psychology now rather than being a disciplinarian. Most of us that grew up in the barracks, I grew up in the barracks. My late father was an army officer, and we were treated by that time, by our old time, this is analog. Our old time is old school. They call it old school. Not now that you have the jet age and the digital age. We know how we were treated by then, but it doesn't work. If you apply that, it doesn't work. That is why you must know all these stages. It does not work now. You destroy the life of that child. What do? You follow them psychologically. What do they want at this time? There are times where you use the rod. At times where you use the rod, but not always. Don't use the rod always, because they will get used to it. And when they get used to it, what else can you do? What else can you do? After all, daddy or mommy, when they come back, I did this, I destroyed the television. When they come back, they will beat me. After beating me, I will cry, I will clean my eyes, and after that, they will buy another one. Or I got my mommy cooked. I removed the meat from the pot, and the soup got soured or something. And when mommy comes, mommy will beat me. Mommy will tell daddy will beat me. Is it not beating? After they beat me, the next day they'll cook another soup. And life goes on. But this is the point where you don't apply that rod issue, because this is the stage. I passed through this stage. You passed through this stage. All of us we did. But that is the only difference there is that we did not know that this is the stage that we are passing through. So what do you do at this stage? You simply key into their emotions. You key into their psychology. You use wisdom, you apply wisdom in dealing with them. Otherwise, you will lose them at this point. All right, we go to the second feature, symbolic thinking. And we said that before, using words, images, and objects to represent things. The third one is animism. This time, they tend to tag objects. They pretend as if objects are human beings. When they see objects, they...
Sorry to interrupt.
Okay.
Are the slides supposed to be changing?
No, they are not. That's why.
Okay.
That's why I said. When I started, I said these slides were sent to us from BC. If I just put it like this, you won't understand. You won't understand. If I just call theory of cognitive development, I skip and I go to the next slide. Would that be okay?
No, I just wanted to know, because it's been on one slide at my end. So I wanted to know whether it's changing or
no, it's not. It's not, madam. It's not changing, because I'm explaining is one after the other. We must know what happened in each of them, okay?
Okay. So all that you are explaining is still under cognitive development.
Yes.
Oh.
We've not entered Vygotsky yet.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So back to what I was saying. We just finished talking about egocentrism, where the child finds it very difficult to see whatsoever another person says. They believe what their own is the best, and they want to do what they feel is best for them to do. This stage, they see themselves as the adult while you are the child. Then we go over to symbolic thinking, using words. They use words, images, and objects to represent things. Now we go over to animism. They tend to attribute human beings to nature, to objects. Whatever object they see, they claim that it has intention, is living, it is breathing. Then centration. They focus on one aspect of a situation while ignoring others. They believe that if they have like 10 things to solve, if they're able to solve one, the rest they ignore, they completely forget about it. That is the stage of their development. Now, to summarize everything, this stage is crucial for language development, imagination, and early problem-solving skills, laying the foundation for more logical thoughts. Remember, I said they think based on what they see. They think based on what they hear. They think based on what they get from their environment. So this stage sets a tool for them to think logically. All right, let's go to the next one. The next one is the concrete operational stage. Maturity has started coming. Maturity has started coming. The third one now is concrete operational stage. Now, their logic, the way they think, they start thinking, abstractly, they start thinking in a matured way. They've stepped up from the thinking from what they see. They now think, they advance their logical thinking skills in this stage. And this one ranges from 7 to 11 years. Now, the last but not the least is the formal operational stage. This one is from 12 years and beyond. This is where they get matured. This is where they think abstractly. This is where they think logically and systematically. They are ready for the world at this point. So in summary of this stage is crucial for mature reasoning, moral development, and independent decision making, preparing children for adulthood. Any question from the theory of cognitive development before we move to the next one? The next one is not going to be that long. It's just because this one is cognitive, and cognitive is very large in child's development. Any question, please? Any question before we move to Vygotsky? Any question, please? Any question?
No, please.
Any question? We are here to learn. Madam Kuzan, any question before we move to Vygotsky?
No question.
Okay, Madam Olivia, any question before we move to Vygotsky?
No question.
Madam Precious, any question before we move to Vygotsky? All right. Okay, let's go on. Now we are done with the theory of cognitive development. Now let's look at Vygotsky's sociocultural theory. Now this one emphasizes, this particular person, Lev Vygotsky, emphasizes the role of social interaction between culture and language. Now, what this man is saying is that the child learns from social experience and guidance from others. That means what the child learns from the teacher, parents, and culture helps in shaping the child's development. This one is not long. I take it again. Lev Vygotsky believes that learning is shaped by social experiences and guidance from others. Now, this particular stage is very, very important because it sets the tone for whatsoever the child learns from the teacher, from the parent at home, culture, helps in shaping the child's development. Very short. Lev Vygotsky is very short. Now, we go to the next one. Erikson theory of psychosocial development. That's the third one now. Erikson theory of psychosocial development. This theory emphasizes the influence of social relationship and experiences throughout life. All right, let me ask a question now. Let me ask a question. Okay, let me check what's there. Okay, no question. Madam Precious said no question. All right, now let me ask a question. This question goes to Madam Kuzan. How many stages, based on what Erikson theory of psychosocial development is talking about? He said this theory emphasizes the influence of social relationship and experiences throughout life. Now, I want to ask Madam Kuzan. Madam Kuzan, are you here? Madam Kuzan, this question goes to you. You help us out. Now, what are the stages of life? There are 3 important stages of life. It's because there are 3 stages of life. Can you tell us? Three
Three
stages of life.
stages. Ah, am I sure?
Three stages of life. No, go on. If we are open, no one is. I'm learning from you, so no one is. Yes. Three stages
Am
of
I
life.
sure? I I would say the starting from you have I think the child, the adult, and then the old. If I'm not mistaken.
That's all. That's all. Round of applause for you. That's all. Do you know why I asked this question? Good. That is, you are reasoning well. That's why I wanted to know. You just applied the theory of cognitive development. That's what you did. Your reasoning is high because it is not everybody. Well, we had this course sometime last year, and there was I had an administrator of a school. I had a principal. We had people highly placed, just like you people. And there's this question that I just threw it open, and I asked the principal, and I said, there are stages in life. We are with this same topic, theory of cognitive development. There are three stages in life. What are they? The principal said, when you are hungry. He said, when you are hungry, when you are tired, and okay, he said, when you are hungry, when you are resting, and he said, when you are hungry, when you are tired, and when you are resting. That is what he said. And I later went, and to me, I felt that what was this man saying? But do you know he had a point? He just said exactly what you said. Exactly what you said. It's only that you said it in another way. Now, in life, just as we have morning, it's just like morning, afternoon, and evening. Morning, afternoon, and evening, where the evening transcends into night. Now, in the first stage, you have a child. A child walks with how many legs? 4 legs. The child has 4 legs because a child has 4 legs. When the child comes, he uses 2 hands and the 2 legs to walk. Moves from there to advance from there, it becomes how many? 2 legs. Then in the later life, how many legs? 3 legs. Can someone explain that? Can someone, Madam Olivia, explain that for us? Explain what I said.
Okay, so the 4 legs has to do with when the child is crawling.
Okay.
So that is the stage where the child is still a baby and trying to walk using the legs and that of the hands. And then when the child starts to use, right? Yes, 2 legs is the stage where the child becomes an adult.
Okay.
So as an adult, you are able to walk by yourself using only 2 legs. And then the 3 legs comes in when you are aged, then you support yourself with a stick. The walking stick makes it 3 legs.
Thank you so much. These ladies are wonderful. I don't know why the men, they refuse to attend class since yesterday. They refuse to attend class. These ladies, these women are wonderful. That tells me that your cognitive level is high, very, very high. Madam Kuzan, you have a star. Madam Olivia, you have a star. All right. Back to what we are saying. This is the Erikson theory of psychosocial development. This theory emphasizes the influence of social relationship and experiences throughout life. That is why I brought that question. Because life has to do with childhood, adulthood, and finally the oldhood. Let me put it that way. Now, what are the key stages in this? What are the key stages? Number 1, trust and mistrust. And the age range where they start developing this trust and mistrust is 0 to 1. That's where they start developing. How do you build your trust? Trust is earned, just like respect is earned. You see, if the dad and mom, they might be there, you love them, you care about them, but you prefer one of them to the other person. That is just how it is. You prefer you prefer mom to dad, or you prefer dad to mom. Why? It's because of the way they care for you. It's because of the way they provide for you. the way they are attentive to all your needs, the way you believe that whatsoever happens, when this person comes, will stand by me. That is how it is. And this stage is within 0 to 1. You see the mother sucks, and other things, they start sucking. Why is it that they don't go to the dad? Most children, they don't go to their dads for them to be breastfed, but instead they go to mom because they know that is where they find peace at that tender age. The development starts from there. The trust starts from there. The next one is autonomy and doubt. The second feature under the Erikson theory of psychosocial development is autonomy and doubt. Now, children learn at the age of 1 to 3 years. 1 to 3 years, they learn independence. But when there is too much control on them, they start doubting you. That's what happens now. This is the jet age, the digital age, the geometric age. No longer the arithmetic age. This is the geometric age, where children are wise. That is how they are. They are wiser than the way we expect them to be. So at this stage, they learn, they want to be independent. They want to be independent. They learn, they develop the culture of being independent. If you control them too much, they begin to doubt you as their dad. They begin to doubt you as their mom. They want that freedom. Now, the third feature is initiative. The third feature is initiative. Now, this one ranges from 3 to 6 years. Children develop confidence in planning and decision making. At this stage, they want to make their decision on their own. They want to plan on their own. They want to solve issues on their own because it helps them to develop confidence. It helps them develop confidence, helps them to face the challenges or the circumstances or situations surrounding them in the world. Now, the fourth one is inferiority. Inferiority. And this ranges from 6 to 12 years. Now, at this stage, you begin to see them, they no longer want that self-esteem. They want to have high esteem. They want to participate in the success of everything. If it's in the school, they want to participate. You see some children, most of the times, within that age of 6 to 12 years, you see when they are doing, they say, they're doing cultural day, for example, and I want to be the queen. I want to be the king of the house, whether they want it or not. Or academically, they want to go for competition, whether they can do it or not. They just want to be part and parcel of it. Why is it like that? Because they want to build their competence. They don't want to be afraid of the world. They want to build their confidence. They want to build their competence. I can do it. Now, the fifth one, identity. Identity. This takes from 12 to 18 years. 12 to 18 years. What happens? They begin to explore their personal identity and future direction. And future what? Direction. They begin to explore personal identity. What am I? Who am I? What I will be. They begin to plan. I'll be a doctor. They begin to see the near future. This is what I want to do. This is what I can do. This is what I'll do to help myself. And the later stage now, the adulthood. The adulthood, because it is assumed that once you are 18, you now enter the stage of, you're starting to enter the stage or the level of adulthood. So now later stages, which is the adulthood, intimacy. This is the stage where they want to build a relationship with the opposite sex or with people generally. They want to build relationship at this point, meaningful relationship, not just any kind of relationship. That is why at this point, we need to guide them very, very well, because some of them, they run into, they are misguided at this point. They say if the boyfriend and the girlfriend thing, which is trending now in school, some time ago, my son came back with, I said, crush, that he has a crush. And I looked at him and said, dude, you have a crush on who? I said, come, sit down. I did not just shout at him. I did not shout at him. I said, come on, what can I say? Come and sit down. Tell me. You say you have a crush. What's in he started telling me, and I told him. I guided him the right way. I guided him. So at this point, they tend to build 12 adulthood. They tend to build meaningful relationship to them, which is normally at this point in infatuation. They don't know what they are doing. That is why we are there to guide them. They contribute at this stage. They want to contribute to society and guiding the next generation. They want to contribute to the society and try to guide the next generation. Then old age, which is the oldhood, rather. This is the time where you sit down, you start reflecting on your life. What was your fulfillment? What did you do right? You know, most people, when they come to this particular point of their life, they are weak. And I believe this is what the principal was trying to say. This is what the principal was trying to say. He was trying to say at this stage, you are weak. You are weak completely. So at this stage, they sit down, they reflect, they start thinking, how my life, what did I do wrong? How did I get it wrong? And if there's any regret, they start, like that. At times you see them sitting down to cry. Not that they are scared of death. No. My late father, when he was old, I used to see him at times sit down alone and he would be crying. Most of the times, while immediately he entered 70, 74, 75. Most of the times when I come to visit him, he's always crying. And one day I was bold enough when he was calm. The normal day when he was happy, I went to him and said, Dad, why is it that each time you're always crying? He said he's pondering on things that he should have done the right way, that he did the wrong way. That's what makes him to cry, not because he's afraid of death. All right, to summarize everything we have said, this theory highlights long life development and the role of social influence in shaping personality. Do we have any question before we move to the next one? Do we have any question before we move to the next one, the last one? Madam Kuzan? Madam Kuzan? Madam Olivia? Yes. Any question before we move to the last one?
No question. No
question.
Okay,
Madam Precious? Madam Precious, any question?
No question.
All right, thank you. Well, let's move to the next one. The next one is Bronfenbrenner's bioecological model of development. What is this man, this German? What is he talking about? He emphasizes the interaction between biological factors and social environment. How the child learns from the interaction between the biological factor and the social environment. What are the features under this? The first one is the microsystem. Microsystem, talking about the immediate environment. The immediate environment. Who are the immediate environment? Who are the people in the immediate environment? We have the family, school, the counterparts, the play group, caregivers, minders, educators. Those are the people that directly affect the child. Microsystem, immediate environment. Family, school, caregivers, educators. These are the people that directly affect the child. Now, the second feature is mesosystem. Mesosystem, I'll call on somebody to explain that for us. Madam Precious, when we talk about mesosystem, what are we talking about? Mesosystem, M-E-S-O, then system. What are we talking about? From your own understanding. From your own understanding, I just finished talking about microsystem, the immediate environment. Small, micro, small. Yes, Madam Precious, mesosystem.
Sorry, I'm just trying to regulate my. So with the mesosystem, it's more about the interactions between the microsystem. So the integration of the different people or the different factors of people that make up the microsystem. So the interaction between the parents, family, and the educators, so the teachers also.
All right, thank you. Wonderful, awesome. That is you're on point. You're on point. It's actually the interaction of the microsystem. They learn, this is how parents and teachers, they interact and influence the child. This is how the immediate environment and teachers, everybody around the child, how they influence the just the interaction. How parents to come together. Yesterday, we talked about how we can integrate parents into the educational system of their children. So that interaction is the mesosystem. Now, the next one is the exosystem. Madam Kuzan, exosystem. Madam Kuzan, exosystem. Help us out with that. Madam Kuzan, exosystem.
I think I didn't get the question, sorry.
Okay, we are talking about how the last one, the Bronfenbrenner's theory is talking about emphasize the interaction between the biological factor and the social environment. We talked about the microsystem, the immediate environment, how they affect the child, that is the family, school, caregivers, and all that. Now we go over to the second feature is mesosystem, which Madam Precious helped us out to. She said the connection, how parents and teachers, they come together to influence the learning of their child. Now, the next feature is the exosystem. So that's what we're asking. Yeah, I'm asking if you can explain that. Any knowledge coming from you? Exosystem.
Yeah, so for me, I believe that like interactions, children, the development stage, they learn from, as you mentioned, the first stage, they learn from what they see, what they hear. So it has a big impact on the child. So if a child they pick what their parents do, what their maybe siblings do, if I'm on the right track, and it forms, how they think and how they behave. I don't know if
Okay, all right.
I
Okay.
got that accurately. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Madam Kuzan. You are still on point. You mentioned parents. You are still on point. Now, exosystem simply means the indirect environment that affects the child. Talking about, we have how the indirect environment they interact to affect the child. Talking about the workplace, talking about community, talking about culture, policies that affects the child. Thank you so much for that contribution, Madam Kuzan. Now we'll go to the next one. The next one is macro system. Madam Olivia, macro system. How does the macro system influences the child?
Okay, so the macro system could be the larger environment, everything about the environment that affects the child. So with the macro, the meso, and all that coming together, that affects the child.
All right. Thank you so much. You have just nailed it as the other ladies they did. The macro, as the name implies, micro, tiny, macro, large. So it talks about all of them, talking about culture, the society, talking about, culture is the way, the norms, values, everything that has to do with the way people live, tradition, economy, condition, law, all of that, rules, regulation, the law as a whole, everything, how they influence the child's education. Then the last but not the least is chronosystem. Chronosystem. That is CHRONO, then system. Chronosystem. Who can help us out with that? Can help us out? I'll call names, so who can help us out? Who can help us out? Okay, Madam Precious. Madam Precious, help us out. Chronosystem. That's the last under Ron Brenner's approach. Yes, Madam Precious.
Sorry, I didn't get the spelling. What's the spelling again?
Okay, I said
Chrono.
chrono, CHRONO, then system. CHRONO, system. Chrono system.
Let me think about it like a chronological stuff or like
Okay.
so more like when I say chronological, more like should I say in a wider range of like transitioning, like the overall life cycle of the child and how everything
Okay.
comes to influence the child's development. So like how the
Okay.
child, like with the social, cultural people around, the experiences they've gathered throughout their life, different life stages,
Okay.
where they're from, the culture, like generally like everything, like as they transition from one stage of development to the other stage of development, how all those things come together to influence the learning. I hope that makes sense.
All right. All right. Thank you so much. You're still in. We said transition. That's the word I liked. Transition. You know, when we talk about chrono system, we are talking about the time-based changes in life. Time-based changes in life. Talking about family transition, historical events, personal growth, all together. That is time that has to do with is time-based changes in life. Family transition, historical events, and personal growth. Now, to summarize everything that we've seen under this last theorem, this highlights how development is shaped both by nature, biology, both by nature, which is biology, and nurture, which is environment over time. This highlights how development is shaped by both nature, but that is biology, and nurture, which is environment over time. All right. Yesterday we said once it is 7 o'clock, once we are 1 hour, because some of us we are back from work. I don't know about the rest of the class, but once it's 7 o'clock, we are to take at least 15 minutes break so that we can stretch our legs. If we want to drink water, we take water, just stretch our legs. I don't know whether it's okay with us. Is it okay? Is it okay?
Yes, it is.
Madam Kuzan, what did you say? What's your opinion?
Yes,
No,
it
I said
is.
it is okay to have the
All
15
right.
minute break.
All
Yes.
right. Okay. All right. At this point, it is 7:05. My time here is 7:05. Madam Olivia, what's your time over there in Ghana?
It's 6:05.
Okay, it's an hour behind. Okay, but
Yeah.
it's still in order. All right. So it's 7:05 now. So we'll be back exactly 7:20. Thank you so much. All right, welcome back from the break. Welcome back. I can see Madam Nkem just joined us. Madam Nkem, the class is like 40 minutes left. What happened?
Sorry, good evening, ma. Good evening,
Good evening,
sir.
ma. Good evening, ma. You're welcome. Madam Nkem, what happened? Duty call?
Sorry, I just came back from now and I had minutes.
Okay,
Yes,
okay.
I just came back now from work.
Oh,
Sorry about
okay,
that.
okay. You're welcome, ma. You're welcome. Hope your day was wonderful.
Yes.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay. Went on break. We are just resuming again.
You're right.
Okay. All right. Madam Kuzan, are you back? Madam Kuzan, Madam Precious, it's 7:21, so I believe we can continue. Madam Kuzan.
Let's go. Okay.
Madam Precious.
Yes, I'm back.
Okay. Madam Kuzan. All right. I think we should go ahead. So.
Yes, let's go ahead.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Now we are back from the shaking of our legs, from the refreshment, and all that we did within the 15 minutes that was allocated to us for our break time. So now, before we continue, I think we just have how many slides left? Let me see. How many slides left for today? Okay, we have 1, 2, 3. I think that's it. Okay. All right. Now, before we continue, I want to ask Madam Precious. Madam Precious, we talked about we talked about the child development and learning. We have the Jane Piaget's theory of cognitive development, the Vygotsky, the Erickson, and the Brenner's way. So can you explain any of them, any points you got from any of them? 1 or 2 points, pick randomly out of the four, pick one and just give us 1 or 2 points you got from them.
I'll go with the Erickson's theory of psychosocial development.
Okay.
I'll just explain it in my own understanding.
Okay.
So with the Erickson's theory of psychosocial development, it's literally broken down into 8 different kind of stages. And with this, it's talking about the interaction between the psychological concept and then social concept or social environment, and how those two, when there's an interaction between two of them, how it does affect and impact the learning of every child. And that's from when they are being born up until when they are old, so up until old age. And saying that at every stage of a child's development, different factors play a role in their learning. So like I said, there are 8 different there are 8 different stages. The first stage, which is more of trust and mistrust, is saying that certain things that they do, certain things that they watch other people do affects their learning. So as a baby, when they're crying, how their parents respond to them when they cry helps them build the trust. They'll say, oh, my mom is always going to be here for me, or my dad is always going to be here for me when I cry. Even feeding with the way they feed. But also there was also learning that is being carried on. And the same thing that goes on to even when they become infants, when they are growing, say when they try to pick up initiative, trying to do things on their own, trying to be independent, that's autonomy, and then allowing them have a balance. So with every stage, according to the Erickson's theory of psychosocial development, if they don't develop this stage rightly, like if they don't learn in the right way, it might lead to some form of maladjustment. But if they learn very well in these stages, it builds their trust, it builds their independence, and then they tend to go away with a form of values from each of those stages. So yeah, that's just my own summary.
All right. Thank you so much, Madam Precious. That was wonderful. That is, yes, point in time, at a point in time, I want to know if actually It was just blah, 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 blah. Let him just continue rolling his mouth. And at the end, I get nothing and the day is over. All right. Thank you so much. There was something that was synced down in your conscious mind. And that subconscious, I asked and it came out to your conscious mind. Thank you so much, Madam Precious. The next person, Madam Kuzan. Yes, Madam Kuzan. Madam Precious took us on a tour through the Erickson's theory. Now, I want you to pick out of the remaining and tell us what you got from them.
Out of the remaining, sorry.
Out of the remaining, we have the theory of cognitive development, the Vygotsky, the Brenner way. Then Madam Precious talked about the Erickson theory. So it's left with the remaining three of them. So pick any of them and tell us what you got.
Okay, so let me do the cognitive, the Piaget's theory.
Jane
if I
Piaget,
pronounce
yes.
that. Yes.
Yes.
I think for me, it's basically, looking at the development stages of a child, understanding how, how a child, the different levels, stages, how a child develops, how a child begins to pick those little learnings from, looking at their motor skills, looking at what they, you talked about what they see, what they taught, what they taste. And then let me use my daughter as an example. Remember growing up, looking at the different stages when she was a child, and she would tell you that, oh, I know when mommy is doing this because of what she has seen. And then she tells me, oh, mommy, you don't understand me because you don't understand my language. And I realized that either she has picked it up because she's within that 2 to 7, she's about 7 years. And I've seen how she has grown, her motor skills have improved. So the different things she has picked from the immediate environment, that's the home, the things she has picked from the school, and then from other family members, like when we go for events and things like that, and the changes that has, how she has evolved. Now, if a child does not pick the right, let's say attitudes or behaviors, one, as just like the other speaker mentioned, one affects even how the child gets to his next stage. That's the being an adult or into adulthood. And it also affects how the child relates. And that's one of the things we see in when children think let's say basically have picked the right kind of skills, their motor skills are not developed, their sensory skills are not adequately developed, and then they are at the pre-operational stage, it also becomes a problem for the child. For me, I think it's quite critical to understand the 4 stages of the child, the development stage of the child, and then understand how the child develops, how the child changes, what the child picks at each stage, and also to know what kind of support to give the child for the different stages of the child's life. And I think for me, the theory, this particular theory is basically looking at the level of intelligence of that child. And I would say that a lot of children that I have come across, engaged with or worked with, understanding this now, I would say some of them, maybe there was one aspect or the other, or one stage that was missed. Either the parents didn't notice or the parents didn't give attention to, that it affected the next stage of their own life, or this next stage of their development. And for me, having that understanding now gives me also a better, makes it easier for me to be able to advise and work with children once you have noticed that some certain stages were missed, or some certain things that the motor skills that were supposed to have picked at that stage wasn't, picked. Then you'll be able to okay, this is a red flag and this is what I need to do. I think for me, it's quite vast, and I won't say complicated, but it's just a summary of everything.
of a child growing up from the time the child was born to the time the child approaches adulthood. Yeah.
All right.
summary.
Thank you so much, Madam Kuzan. Yes, you chose the one that, the theory of cognitive development. That is what you
Yeah.
just did. That is exactly what you just did. I just tested it and you did it again. Thank you so much, Ma. It shows that you are following. Now, the next person that has to talk is Madam Olivia. Madam Olivia, welcome back. Madam Olivia, welcome back.
Thank you.
All right, all
I
right.
had a network issue.
All right, you're welcome. Madam Kuzan just finished talking about the theory of cognitive development. Madam Precious talked about Erickson's. Now I want you to pick out of Vygotsky and the last one, von Brenner's way, and explain to us what you got from the first part of before we went on break. Just to help Madam Nkem follow us. Yes, Madam Olivia?
Yeah, so which one am I explaining?
Out of the two, the last and the second. You have the second one and the last one. The Vygotsky or the Brent. Yes. Which of them? Pick any out of the two.
Okay. I think I'll go for the last one.
All right, go on.
Yeah. So the last one, you made mention of the fact that it's the interaction between the biological factors and that of the environment.
Okay.
If I got the definition right.
Yes,
From
yes,
your
go on.
explanation. Yes.
Go
And
on.
then, yes, so we have factors under it, or systems. We have the first one being the microsystem, which has to do with the interaction between the immediate environment and the child. So the child's immediate environment and the child, that is the teachers, the family, they are the immediate environment of the child. And then you mentioned this word I can't pronounce. Is it meso?
Yes, meso system,
Yeah.
meso system.
So the meso system also made mention of the interaction between the small environment and that of the social environment that affects the child life. So these two environments coming together, the interaction between these two affects the child's life. That is the family, the teachers, and that of the social environment goes a long way to affect the child.
Okay. All
And
right.
then
Thank you. Okay.
Okay.
Go on. Sorry.
Yes.
Go on.
So the other one was exo what?
Exosystem.
Exosystem. Okay. So the exosystem also is the indirect environment that affects the child. And then the macro, that has to do with all these three put together. That is the meso, the exo, and then the micro, all comes together to affect the child. And you mentioned that of the culture, the environment, the school system, and the family, that all comes a long way to affect the child. And the last one, the chronos system, that one you mentioned time-based changes in the child's life, or is the time-based changes that influence the development of the child's life. I think that is what I got from.
All right. Thank you so much. Lovely, wonderful women. I appreciate you so much. That is wonderful. Okay. Away from that, let's move on. Now, the expected milestone of a child. This is just a summary of what we did yesterday. The expected milestone of a child, the significant stage of a child. That milestone signifies, it simply means the significant stages or a stage or the levels involved in the development of a child. Now, the first one, we have the physical development. This refers to the development of motor skills, from gross motor skills like the roll, the walk, to fine motor skills like the grabbing things and drawing. Now, the next one is the cognitive development. We've just seen that. This focuses on how children think, learn, and solve problems. The milestone includes memory development, language acquisition, and problem-solving abilities. Now, the next one is the social development, which we saw yesterday. We saw the diagram yesterday. This refers to how children interact with others, including forming relationships, cooperating, and resolving conflicts. Emotional development. This encompasses how children understand and express their emotions, as well as develop self-regulation skills. Now, this is where we are going to talk. This is where everybody is going to get involved. This is our last slide for today. We know they said observation. Yesterday I said examination is not the true test of one's knowledge. And basically what our schools, they do is they test the knowledge of the child or the children based on examination. Based on examination. Not that it's bad. Not that it's bad. But it should be when they test them in terms of the theoretical, they go out to the field, they are able to convert this theory they had into practical things, real life things, not just the one that would, like we made instances, say A is for apple, B is for ball, C is for that, and begin to give exams, and the child does it very well, and say, go out there, draw a ball. They give you carton, or they give you cardboard, form a football, form a ball, either a football, a basketball, any kind of ball, form. You cannot, but you were taught. So this is the assessment that we are talking about. Assessment is not based on examination alone, but it's also based on the practical aspect also. That is why we tend to see people, they keep record. They tend to we see people, they have any good school or any good organization, they have record where they checkmate, they see your performance, they see your strength, they see your weaknesses, they see areas which you need to grow, which you need to perfect on, which you need to work on, which they either you work on it or they help you to work on it. Now, observation techniques and assessment tools. These are tools they use in assessing children. 21st century, I'm talking about the digital children, not our own time. Our own time that was write this, give you subjective, give you objective, give you theory, write them, you pass, you have the knowledge. But the digital age, they're stepped up. It's no longer like that anymore. So the first assessment tool is anecdotal observation. And we also have the developmental checklist. And the last but not the least, we have portfolio or portfolios. All right. Now, before I explain that, I want to ask Madam Nkem. Madam Nkem has been in the field of teaching before she dabbled into something else. Madam Nkem, can you help us explain the first assessment tool? Madam Nkem? Madam Nkem, are you with us? Okay. All right. Madam Nkem is not there. The next person that follows is Madam Kuzan. Madam Kuzan. I like calling Madam Kuzan because Madam Kuzan is not today. Madam Kuzan has been there. She has been doing programs with us, either Andy Smart or MJB Management and Integrated Service. She has been doing it over and over again. So when I saw Madam Kuzan today, I was happy that she was able to join the class. So Madam Kuzan. Madam Kuzan? Madam Kuzan,
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, Madam Kuzan, thank you so much. Madam Kuzan, the first points, the first assessment tool, they are anecdotal. Can you explain it from your own knowledge? From your own knowledge.
Okay. It's basically like giving, writing, written, giving like notes or written descriptions, detailing significant events of the child. Like, let's say in a classroom, as a teacher, you're expected to write, significant events that the child, did. Maybe something really happened, take note of it. You want to take note of the behavior. How did the child behave when this happened? Was the child happy, excited? Those notes, you want to now take, capturing, like, so that with time you can now observe, oh, the child has changed from this stage to this stage. Oh, this significantly happened in his life at this stage, and then this is what the child did. But then at the next time it happens, oh, the child didn't behave like this. He has matured, he has changed. So it's basically like taking observatory notes, let me use that word, of significant events or major events surrounding a particular child or children, as the case may be, how they've been able to react, what they've done, the behavior, you observe the behavior of the child, to be able to, it forms part of, it's like an assessment where you look at how the child has grown or has improved from, point A to point B. In layman's term, that's what I understand by
All right.
anecdotal records.
Thank you so much. Wow. Wow, Madam Kuzan. Wow. You see, this cognitive development is really working on us. And right from what you said, is you have an idea, not just an idea, you've gone beyond the idea. You have the knowledge concerning this observation. Now, in a normal setting, you have a class, and it is ideal for you to take down records. You take down records, you write things about a child, about your children, about the children you have in the class, the words you have in the class, the purpose you have in the class. You write information about them, academical information. That is why the way they play, put it down, everything about them that makes up a child, that you, each time the child spends with you in the class, whether it's 8 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours, as the case may be, whatsoever activity that is done within that time, you put it down, you document it. You document it, then later you can go back to that document and check on the child's progress. As Madam Kuzan has said, you go back, you check on the child's progress, you look at the areas of what fascinates the child, the areas of interest. First, in this academic work, where this particular subject, that subject, what is his favorite subject, what fascinates him, what stimulates his interest. You look at that, look at his strength. Where is he good? Where is he good? Where is he doing well? You document it. You also look at his weaknesses. You look at his weaknesses, you document his weaknesses. Then, areas of growth. From the weaknesses you documented, from there, you can now look at, oh, he's weak in this area, he's weak in that area. Let us see how we can work on that. So it's actually a tool, it's a valuable tool used in child development to gather information about a child's progress, which I've said, interests, strengths, and areas for growth. That's the weaknesses, those areas that the flaws of the child, you go into it, pick those areas, and see how you can develop the child. All right, now we move to the next one, developmental checklist. Developmental checklist. The next person is, I'm going to call Madam Olivia. Madam Olivia, developmental checklist, yes. To you, if you are asked, there was a time one of our our lecturers in university back then when I was doing my master's, and the man said, each time the man wants to ask a question, he will start by saying, you are walking on the street and you are accosted by a madman, and the madman says that if you don't answer my question, I will not let you go. That's what the man says, and everybody will be laughing. So, Madam Olivia, put yourself in that situation, God forbid. How will you save yourself?
Okay, so let me try. I don't know if I have the knowledge. So,
Okay.
yeah, using the standardized checklist to track children's progress against expected milestone. So, the standardized checklist could be a kind of tool that is used. Probably there are expectations of how the child should grow, or the things the children should be able to do at their age, what they should know or what they should be able to do, like I said. And so you have a tool that you actually use to kind of like we said, against. So we use that tool to track their progress as in against the expected milestone, the expected behavior of the child.
All right. Thank you so much, Madam Olivia. Thank you so much. Madam Nkem, Madam Nkem, can you add to what Madam Olivia said?
Okay. Sorry, I was trying to on my mic when you asked me initially, and
Okay,
it
ma'am.
was not coming up.
Okay, ma'am.
And just like you rightly said, the developmental checklist is very essential in tracking the child's milestones, the expected milestones in early childhood development. So the child has expected milestones at certain stages of his formative years that the educator is expected also to monitor those areas closely to check if there are developmental delays or any kind of problems associated with that stage, so as to track them early. So I believe those checklists are useful for educators to use them to assess the child's progress across certain domains. Yes, domains of learning. Yes. So when it comes to like the cognitive domain, there are certain standardized checklists that the educator should use to monitor those expected areas of the child's development. Then when they come to communication or the one you mentioned fine skills or motor skills, there are some checklists that the early childhood educator should use over time to monitor the progress. I think that is exactly what it is, because it will help in developing their programs and to give them individualized attention, to help in planning their classes and giving parents the right feedback for some kind of a collaboration in helping the children or the child in particular. So that's what I see as those developmental checklists, and they are really useful.
Okay. Thank you so much, Madam Kem. You've nailed it. Yes, actually, when we talk about the developmental checklist, this is a tool. It's actually a tool used by parents, educators, healthcare professionals to track and monitor a child's progress across various domains of development. That's just that. This is the checklist, developmental checklist. We talked about social development. It's a tool to checkmate his progress in social development. If he's developing socially, if he knows how to interact, how to make friends, his relationship with others. Also check his cognitive level. Is he thinking well? Is he learning well? Is he reasoning well? Is he solving issues the right way? This is the checklist. And also talking about the emotional, is he feeling the way he's supposed to feel? Is he acting the way he's supposed to act? So this checklist is a tool used by all these people mentioned to check his progress or check his or her progress or check the child's progress in various domains of development. Then the last but not the least, I will call on Madam Precious, portfolios. Madam Precious, portfolios.
Hi. So with portfolios, I would say this is more of a collection of the different aspects of a child's work. So things the child has done, like the child's notes, their drawings, if they've done art, maybe also with literacy, maths, and all of that. I mean, English language, sorry, and all of that. And also observations that have been carried out by either the specialists, the teachers, people that work with the child, maybe in school setting or in other observational setting. Also, maybe pictures, photograph, audios, visual displays, like maybe there's been like videos of when the child was walking, maybe with other children in a pair, their play activities and all of that. And it's just a collection of all these different forms of assessment and knowledge about this child that is all kept together in either a folder, either a digital document, so like they would have like maybe this person's name. So where I work is usually called something like it's called like an educational plan for a child. So that has a lot of information about this child. So like notes, what this child has done before, what they've probably also said they like to do. So like their own words, like their own description of what they like or what they've done, teachers' observation of what they like, what they've done. If they're working with other specialists, like maybe speech or language therapists, maybe other psychologists like child psychology, psychologists, all the notes and informations that you get from these different specialists are put together, and it creates what you call like the child's portfolio.
All right, Madam Precious, you've nailed it again. It's actually not far from what you said. Even when you see someone carrying a portfolio, it contains records, documents concerning that person's organization, that person's field of study, discipline, his company. When we talk about portfolio here, it must be purposeful. The portfolio must be purposeful. It must be a purposeful collection of a child's work, his accomplishments and progress over time, as you have just said. It must serve as a comprehensive and individualized record of a child's developmental journey and provide valuable information for educators, parents, and the child themselves. Do you know that a child's ego will be boosted, or he or she will have a boost when he goes back to see how his performance is. If he goes back to see how he has been doing. Like I worked in an international school 10 years ago, and it's still there, one of the international schools in Nigeria, a big international school as they call it. So, and in there's what they call their dossier. They call it dossier. And it includes it's different from the result booklet given to them by Ministry of Education, where you detach and give them as a result. No, there's what they call where they put everything is like a big diary. Let me put it that way. Not the normal diary, but it's a kind of special diary where everything about the child is scored from. If the person has 10, you write 10, not just the total in exams, everything, CA, attendance, dressing, behavior, everything is there. And at the end of the term, the children, they'll call them to the hall, and each of their class teacher or their class manager brings that. They come, stay on the line, check. Some of them, they will be inspired to do more because of that collection. And parents also, they like to, like when we have visiting day, parents do come, they'll bring the catalog, bring everything about this child, bring like a file. They use a transparent file. That's what they use in the school. They bring it, they open it. And that day used to be a day where you have children, they are happy. At times, some of them, they are sad because that's the day. If you have a dad that is hot-tempered or a mom that is hot-tempered, that's the day you understand what life is talking about because they will deal with you there. And that is the day that some of them, they get inspired. That's the day that some of them, they are happy that their money they pay school fees is not wasted and all that. So it's actually what is portfolio is a purposeful collection of a child's work, accomplishments, and progress over time. It serves as a comprehensive and individualized record of a child's developmental journey and provide valuable information for educators, parents, minders, teachers, and children themselves. With that, do we have any question? With that, do we have any question? That being said, do we have any question?
Yes, I do.
Okay, Madam Precious says she has a session that she wants to take her leave. Okay, all right. Who has a question? Go on, Madam Kuzan.
Yes. I think mine is not really more of it's not a question, but it's an observation, a contribution,
Okay.
which I think more like an observation, and then with what we have just learned today, especially kind of observational techniques. And I look at what my daughter brings at the end of every term. When looking at the portfolio, she comes home with this very big folder or envelope, very, very big, that has pictures she has drawn during the term, writings, things they have done, creative art, and things like that. And then I also look at their report card. You mentioned something earlier on about when we look at the way our own report cards, were when we were kids and the way it is now. My daughter's report is about 17 pages, So I think it basically looks at, how she interacts during reading experiences, how she interacts with her friends, how does she translate stories. It's very comprehensive. Would we say that, it basically takes the anecdotal, because you have recordings of, things that has happened, during that term. And then also the checklist, because you also have, when you look at language, she demonstrates, they look at literacy, how does she interact with her friends, her emotional intelligence, and all that. And then the portfolio. Do we have anything that has all these three together? Because it looks like what they have been doing is merging both the anecdotal observation, the developmental checklist, and the portfolio into one. Do we have like one that covers all the three, or is just their own system or style of bringing the three observational techniques and assessment tools together as one?
Okay, thank you, Madam Kuzan, for that question. Over here in Nigeria, what we do is that by right, we are supposed to have this individually. We are supposed to have the first one because this is actually these slides and everything is gotten from the UK. So that is why it is segregated like this. So it actually, we are supposed to have one for each. We are supposed to have one. If you are looking at the first one, we have that alone. We have the developmental checklist so that we can be checking individual processes. But due to the way it is, and as we talked about it yesterday, that it could be as a result of the compensation of teachers. It can be as a result of low compensation. Teachers, they have more workload and low compensation. So they can decide to compress everything as one. That is why you will have the portfolio. They compress the first one, the second one, and put it together with the portfolio and bring it out as a portfolio. So that is what happens here in Nigeria.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Madam Kuzan, thank you so much. Any other question before we call it a day? It's after 8 already. We're supposed to stop by 8. Madam Precious said she has another session. I think she's taking part in caregiving. Caregiving is going on now. So any question, Madam Olivia, Madam Kuzan, any question?
No question from here.
Oh, okay, thank you so much, Madam Olivia. Madam Olivia, Madam Kuzan is one of our very, very strong customers here. In fact, we are thinking, let me let the cat, Madam Kuzan, let me let the cat out of the bag. Yeah, let me say it now. Let me let the cat out of the bag. You are under consideration as one of our customers that will put in the alumni. I've let it out of the cat. I've let the cat out of the bag, right? So that is that. I really appreciate you, Ma. Thank you for always. You are a loyal customer. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Madam Olivia, I thank you and I appreciate you so much for not listening to what they have been saying. Because people, they go around to spoil people's things and not forgetting that this is a legit and a genuine company. We don't do scam, we don't do fraud, we do the right thing. If it's not working, we'll tell you it's not working. Thank you for believing in us. Thank you, Madam Kuzan. You have a lovely night rest. We'll continue tomorrow. Same time tomorrow. Good night.
Good night. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.